welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox, and I'm glad I checked this video. I just did a walk and talk with y'all and didn't catch anything on video. So, here we go. Part deux. Take deux. Make sure we're running. All right, we are. Hey, I want to talk to you guys about conspiracy theories. There's a lot of things going on out there in the world. I get it. And, you know, when mainstream media starts screaming about fake news and all they put out is fake news, when we have things like 9/11, which I believe there's a lot of conspiracy theory to go around in that, right? I mean, just look at Building 7, Pullet, and all kinds of things going on with that we don't know about officially. And so there's reason to be skeptical, but there is something of a sickness going on with people in our realm, right? You know, people who are into preparedness and what's going on in the world and where it's going and all that. And this sickness clouds their judgment, hopefully not you. And I want to address that because the time is quickly coming when we're going to have all the use of our facilities and our brains, and we're going to have to be able to think clearly. And let me give you some examples. Do you remember the Russian ambassador who was shot in Turkey? A whole bunch of people, I'm going to start turning around while I'm talking, you can see our range down here. A whole bunch of people immediately jumped on the bandwagon. False flag, he wasn't shot. There's no blood, there's no shell casings. It's all fake, man. Well, the first thing you have to ask yourself when people are saying things like that, or God forbid you're starting to think something like that, who benefits? Who benefits from that? Because for that to be fake, they would have to have the Turkish government and the Russian government in it together, right? That ain't happening. Number two, if people did a little bit of research, yeah, the one picture showed no blood, looked like no blood, and no shell casings. But there were other pictures that showed blood coming out behind his head, shell casings all over the floor. It's just angles, man. You know, stuff happens. People talked about how the camera stayed steady on him the whole time. It was on a tripod. You can see that in other pictures. The cameraman took a dive, and the tripod kept going. And so that was a real thing. That guy got shot. People use the term false flag. False flag is a real term, but most people don't use it correctly. Example, they talk about the nightclub shooting in Florida, where the, gay, lesbian, three other term, pick your poison nightclub where some dude went in there and killed a bunch of people. They said, that was a false flag. That never happened. Okay, false flags happen. A false flag means that you attribute something that happened to a party other than the party that did it. In other words, a false flag would be if I were to go blow up a building, right? But then we make it look like Muslim terrorists did it. You know what false flags are? All those church burnings that go on and the swastikas painted on church buildings and blaming it on Trump, right? Or right-wing whiteys, right? You know, they burned down a black church. Do you know that BATFE investigates all church burnings and bombings and things like that? And do you know that the vast majority of church burnings and swastikas painted on them, you know, and stuff like that is done by the pastor or somebody in that church? That's a false flag, right? Let's blame it on somebody else. When it doesn't happen, that's not a false flag. People were saying that nightclub in Florida never happened. Never happened. It happened. People say the San Bernardino shootings never happened. False flag. It's all fake. It happened. They wonder why the government, policymakers, are so quick on the heels of those things with legislation seeking to ban this or that gun or whatever after these events. And they think, oh, it was all just set up so they could run their legislation. No. The legislation is already written. They've got files of it ready to go. And whenever something happens, they bring it out, dust it off, and present it. Because now's an opportune time. So these people who live in this world of paranoia, where nothing is real and everything is fake in their mind, aren't seeing clearly. And not seeing clearly can hurt you. I'll give you an example here. Can you see those woods back there? There are deer in those woods. There are bobcats, coyotes, armadillos, possums, raccoons, snakes. But you know what there's not in those woods? There are no tigers in those woods. And so if I were to hear something crashing through the forest and say, oh, that's a tiger, it would cloud my judgment for figuring out what it really was. Or if I heard something crashing through the forest and I said, that's not real, that never happened, then I'm clouding my judgment on figuring out what's really going on. Be skeptical. No problem with that. I'm always skeptical. Show me. But don't jump to conclusions. Jumping to conclusions, that biased mindset, all of a sudden the only thing you're looking for is things that confirm your bias. You're not scanning with wide open eyes to see what's really going on. And I think time's coming soon when you are going to need all your faculties. I think it's possible that stuff could get real and weird. And you don't need to be freaking out. And you don't need to make an assumptions based on nothing or based on a rumor that you then run with. You got to understand it for what it is. It's like I talk about politics. I get a lot of comments on the other channel on that NATO thing. Oh, nice Christian. What can you do for us? If you're an ally, you got to be an equal. We're not going to protect a weak person. Typical Christian. The problem with that person's thinking, if you can even call it that, is that Christianity has nothing to do with the relationship between states, nor should it. I like y'all. I haven't seen too many weird comments from y'all. We got a higher class of Viking over here. But man, there are some people out there that just make me go, what? What? And you vote? These things that people say about Trump. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. I've said some things about Hillary. I said she's a witch. That evil witch Hillary. I think she is a witch. I really do. I think she thinks she's a witch. What's that thing where they paint on the walls with all the body fluid and stuff? And she channels stuff and... Man, I really do think that. What's this deal about calling Trump the KKK? I knew some people in the KKK long ago. They were racist. Yes, they were. They were Southern. I don't think there's a whole lot of Northern KKK. I don't think there's any multi-billionaires who are KKK, right? And I don't think Trump's a racist. I really don't. I think Trump would hire a green person if that was the best person for the job. And I think he'd hire a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy if he wasn't getting the job done, right? I think Trump's a businessman, and he wants to get stuff done. And he will hire who's ever best for that, regardless of skin color. People don't like that, because he doesn't make accommodations for people. It's like, hey, do your job, get rewarded. Don't do your job, you're fired. And they don't like him because he speaks plainly, which is why I like him, because he speaks kind of like me, with a different accent. When things start getting weird, when you start getting flooded with data and input, that's the time to try and go, what's really going on? And don't get breathless, don't get all panicky, don't start going, this is what's going on, man, it's a conspiracy of the CIA. It's probably not, but it could be something. Try to stay open-minded. Try to see it for what it is. Don't confuse, don't get, what is that? Can't see the forest for the trees. All right. Hey, thank you all for supporting this channel. I'm reading most of the comments. There's getting to be more and more. Don't get weird on me out there. I have the ability to ban you from this channel. Don't be getting weird. Keep it real. All right. Do what you can with what you got where you're at, and I will see you out there.